What's good, Moto fam? JD here with Supercross.com, and today we're visiting with Mr. Isaac Teasdale out in North Carolina, Western North Carolina. How you doing
Yep,
today, boss man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Good, good. You know what? I actually will have a question for you later on in this conversation that we didn't start with, but I should have, because you started our little conversation with what team I pull for. I got one of those kind of questions for you after the fact.
All
Okay?
right.
All right, all right,
Mhm.
all right. So, start out, man. Just kind of tell us about you, your fam. Tell us about the team. Give us a little background on Isaac real quick.
Well, my name's Isaac Teasdale. I'm from Robbinsville, North Carolina, which is in the southwestern part of the state of North Carolina, just kind of way out in the boonies. And I'm actually part Native American, Cherokee Native American. And my dad is from Africa. He was born and raised out there. His parents were missionaries, and he came back to the States when he was probably 12 or so, and he ended up meeting my mom. So that's how it all started. And then I started riding when I was 4. Played other sports like basketball and football. Actually, really enjoyed those a lot, and I would ride on the weekends. I had a little track at my house that my dad built, and the local track was 3 hours away, so I would ride there after football games because they raced at night. So that I was kind of away from like the normal moto scene of hitting all the area qualifiers, Loretta's, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, until I was probably 16 or 17 when I was homeschooled, so they wouldn't let play like high school ball. So at that point, I wanted to try the motocross um, side of things, and that was when actually the first time I went to Loretta's because we would only qualify in one region, so the southeast, and that's kind of normally the hardest one to do.
Right.
So we kind of started to figure it out towards the end, and so I really enjoyed Loretta's, and then after Loretta's, started racing arena cross, and did that for about I think 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years, and then I just went to Supercross. I've been doing outdoors a few times when I could.
Okay.
So I don't know. There's a lot of detail in there, but that's just kind of the quick overview.
No, no. Like I said, um, what I wanted to do is make sure that the page had a good, kind of a good background on you. Because, like you said, as far as, actually qualifying, getting out there, um, hitting a ton of the races on the trail, that's not something you did till a little later. And so people
Yeah,
may not be as familiar with as they may be other riders. So that's good, man. That's good. Tell them about the team.
yeah. Right now I'm with JGR. It's not really like it's hard. It's a weird situation, honestly. Like last year, um, I went to them asking if I could get some suspension work done to do outdoors like on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Jeremy offered the retail package of the engine and then the Suzuki. And and man, I was super pumped with that. Just growing up, and you're just oh, man, JGR
Yeah, yeah.
factory, just to be around those guys. I learned so much. You got all the riders like Amart and
Mm-hmm.
Freddie, Brock Tickle now. Last year's KP, and I don't know. There's just so many guys that, especially growing up, you just like you see on like Vermoto or all the videos. You're like, dude, this guy's fast.
Mm-hmm.
So just to learn from the whole team and just I don't know, just be around what it takes. I was super pumped, and then things progressed, and we were working on some things like back when with the tribe and some connections there maybe. So I was able to race Supercross. I technically raced Tampa, Dallas, but I was hurt in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
so that kind of didn't count. But so I didn't really get to show we've been working on, which I was super happy with the progress over the last couple months. So hopefully we can come back after this injury and put in the work and show we've been doing.
Cool, cool. Well, like I was saying when we were chatting earlier, if nothing else, man, getting a chance to just be out on the track, That JGR track, man, it is. It's kind of like between the red dirt and then how it's just encircled by all the pines.
Yeah.
It's a thing of beauty, man. So if nothing
Yeah.
else, that kind of helps sell it too, going to that place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of positives, especially like we took a tour of the NASCAR shop. I don't know if you've ever been there,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
that
yeah,
thing's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's unbelievable. So there's a lot of little pluses.
So you're a NASCAR man,
I'm starting to get more into it. Obviously, just being around the whole crew,
dude.
but
Stock's
I
going
don't
through
think
the roof right now.
I didn't really know much about it honestly. So I want to learn though. I've been listening, catching up.
You know, as the sport grows, I mean, it leaves the little places. I remember I was telling you, you know, where my community's at, down towards the bottom of the state over at 95. We weren't far from Rockingham, and you know, for a long time, you know, Rockingham was one of those main hubs there in NASCAR land. And so when they stopped racing out there, like, that was kind of heartbreaking initially, but you know, when you go to North Carolina, it's almost like basketball to some degree. Every little town has a racetrack. Some type of
Yeah.
racetrack is close by.
I
It's just part of it.
I actually think there was a guy from my town in Robbinsville, which I think we have 3 stoplights. I think we just upgraded to 4, maybe 5. But anyways, I think he raced NASCAR if I don't remember. I think that's how my dad actually got into riding and
Okay.
racing dirt bikes. He also raced motocross as well, so
Oh wow.
he got my dad into it, and I guess that's why one of the reasons we're here. So
All right.
it's pretty
All right.
North
So
Carolina blood.
so let's talk about the injury a little bit. You know, um, when and where it happened, and then kind of the progression on the healing process right now.
Yeah, so I actually tore my PCL, which is the ligament on the back of your knee.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2.5 years ago, and I just never got it fixed. And because they said you didn't really need to, you could just strengthen up the muscles around it and things like that, and you're okay.
Okay.
So that's in my left knee as well. And so everything was okay. Going into Dallas, we got the suspension stiffened up, and because like the Tampa track the jumps are super like square,
Mm-hmm.
like a lot different than the practice track because the practice track gets worn in, the rain kind of fills in the pockets. I don't know. It just happens. So being there, it was too soft and it kind of would throw me weird ways and makes me get tight and just uncomfortable. So we were able to adjust it all weekend of Tampa. The main event, I actually crashed twice. So I think I finished like 20th or 19th or something. Not something to be too pumped about, but I was in the main.
Right.
Going to Dallas, I was feeling confident. The first qualifying session, I qualified 7th, which I was pretty pumped
Yeah.
about. And I was like, yeah, it's finally we're starting to actually ride like I have been the last few months. And then that wasn't doing that. I don't know if you remember that track, but it was like we were going double and then over the table and then triple or quadding,
Yeah.
I guess. It was
Yeah.
single. There was a tabletop and then we were landing on the next one, tripling out. So I just did that line, and then I come around and I don't know why my whole team they still pick at me for this, but I tried to jump the whoops because they told me to skim them because it's my strong suit,
Yeah.
and I decided to jump through them, and I thought my front wheel was going to make it over the one whoop, but it didn't, and so I guess I wasn't prepared for the bike to pull me, but it did, and it ripped my hand off. I have the video but it ripped my hand off, and I was just along for the ride. It actually wasn't that bad. I landed on the downside of a whoop, and the bike just hit my foot, and it was open, and it just popped my MCL. So I knew when it happened, I was like, something wasn't right, just because it was the same feeling I had with my PCL. It's just like an awkward loose. It's like your legs just you can't really move it. It's just
Right.
I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just when it happens, And I was like, come on, are you serious? Like right now? So that happened obviously, and I tried, and that's when in Dallas, there was a lot of problems with a lot of riders.
Yeah, yeah.
Tickle ended up breaking his hand in the first moto, I think, or first main. And Jimmy went down in qualifying, or maybe free practice, one of the two. And so I was like the Lone Ranger there on on the Suzuki squad. I was like, I don't know, I was in pain. And I was going to try to ride. And the first one, I got a good start, but all I could do was just double around the track. I was like, man, this is so pitiful, man. It's like, I know what I can do, but I can't. Like, I couldn't grip in the air. Like, I couldn't squeeze the bike, which is kind of scary. So I ended up, I think, 17th, but I went around the whoops one lap because they were getting so sketchy, and like I couldn't squeeze the bike, and I was like, I don't know, man, I can't do this. And so I went around, I got doxed, so I finished last apparently that moto. So I think I went like 18, 17, 16, but it was just double around the whole track. I'm like, come on. So that's how that race went. And then I tried to race Atlanta. We were doing rehab every day with the people at JGR. Lena, she's the athletic trainer. She was doing like ultrasound on my knee. I didn't know that works, but it helps it to scar up faster. So we're trying to get all we could. So I didn't move it at all. We taped it. I tried to ride in qualifying. I couldn't do it. I'd come around the corner underneath that bridge, and I could just feel the bottom of my lower leg just moving like this. I'm like, I couldn't put my foot back on the peg to shift. I was like, I think I qualified like almost like 46th or 42nd. And I was like, I can't do this because I couldn't triple anything again. I just wasn't confident. So we just wanted to do that one race to see if I could do it, because they were going to get the guy from France to come over and get some more guys on Suzuki's. And so we tried the best, but now I'm out for, they said 4 to 6 weeks, which seems kind of fast to me because it was a complete tear in my MCL. But right now I can just start put weight on it and bend it 10 degrees. So pretty pumped about that. It's kind of weird, man. 10 degrees, but I think we're going to 20 tomorrow. We'll see.
Okay. Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Baby steps. So you're you're supposed to be practicing some social distancing right now, but in Robbins that probably ain't that hard. So
yeah,
you can stay more than 6 foot away from people in Robbins pretty easily.
Yeah, I'm back in Charlotte. I live here. I have an apartment.
Oh,
so I live here. Yeah, I live in Charlotte here, Huntersville.
Oh, okay.
Oh
man, nice.
Yeah, right by the shop, like 2 or 3 miles. So I've been here for about a year and a half. So
a lot of people don't know, man. Queen City's, it's got some pretty places over there.
Yeah, I honestly I don't go downtown much. I don't know why. I just don't. So I stay up on the outskirts. So I need to go downtown a lot. I hear there's some good food. I like food. So gotta jump down there.
Well, that was actually the question I was talking about. So barbecue, vinegar base or ketchup base sauce? You a red sauce man? Or?
That's tough. I don't know. It depends.
Hang up on you if you say the wrong thing. I'm just telling you right now.
I don't know. I'm trying to be careful. I'm trying to figure out what you are exactly. What's your flavor? I don't know. I have to try them all. Because I mean, each restaurant has their own style, I guess. So I don't know. I gotta try them. I like to try them all. I used to be super picky about what I ate, but now I just go everywhere, eat whatever everybody likes. I was asked the waitress or whatever. I asked her what's the best, what she likes, and she gives me some options. I normally choose one.
You're just like whatever's popular, bring it.
Yeah.
2 of them.
I want be adventurous.
Yeah. So we had a chance.
So what are you? You vinegar? What are you?
Vinegar.
I think I like that better.
I was gonna say I prefer vinegar, but the more you spend time out the western part of the state, there's especially if you're gonna do the barbecue trail on that side of the state, you get a chance to try out some really good food, and so that'd be something you can do while you're healing up as well. I'm not gonna care if you put on a couple of pounds.
Yeah, especially since we don't know when we're racing again.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like off
Well,
season almost.
so we had a chance to talk about background. We had a chance to talk about a little build up to the new team. Suzuki um, definitely has its its strong points as far as going from Supercross to motocross spaces. Is that the only bike that you've been on at this point that you were that I guess you can say that you're starting to really like, or you know what were you riding before?
Um, I started off on like KTM's, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, we didn't. I had some older bikes. I actually raced my dad's 125. It was a '03 KTM 125.
Okay.
It was like the worst bike I've ever ridden, apparently. I didn't know that at the time. I was like in the schoolboy days, I was like, man, how are people going so fast? Because I mean, that bike doesn't have a linkage
Right.
and it doesn't want to turn. Well, because I rode it a few years ago, and so after riding some good bikes, I could decipher that bike and understand why it was so bad. It doesn't want to turn,
Right.
and so you have to like throw it over to get it to layover, and then if you get any kind of speed, it gets the uh, head shake, death,
Mm-hmm.
horrible. And so those aren't very good combinations. So I raced that, and then I actually some family friends they have a house up in Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
and they would get their stuff through Babbitt's Sports Center. And so a guy that works for her asked him if he could help me out with like bikes, like one bike. So that's when I got on Kawasaki's, which is it's I think that was in B. I was in B class
Okay.
or schoolboy, and that was like when I first started to actually start going fast, and that's when I qualified through Retta's because I actually had a new bike, a modern bike, and so that kind of started it all. And then we raced arena cross with them like 2 years ago. Just so from then on, we were just had their support with bikes because bikes are expensive, as you know. So super thankful for their help. And then last year I was on Honda in arena cross,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually a KTM. I rode KTM's I think 2 years with Babbage because they were a KTM dealer as well, and then now I'm on Suzuki. So I kind of jumped around. I haven't really ridden Yamaha other than that, or Huskies, I guess. But other than
Right.
that, got dialed.
Okay.
And differences in like I've always had stock bikes. I haven't had suspension until about 3 years ago. It was the first time I had suspension 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't know what that was. I just rode it. So so we're starting to get. I can feel stuff, and I know Jared, the suspension guy.
Mm-hmm.
He loves work with me because I always say I feel this, and what do you think? And he's like, I don't know. So they always pick at me for that because I don't really know what each clicker does. I'm starting to learn obviously because I don't know. I like to understand things. I ask a lot of questions. I ask why, and so we're starting to get everything dialed in. But I've noticed the differences in the bikes, especially from like the Honda, the Suzuki.
Mm-hmm.
They feel pretty similar, but overall for me, I like the Suzuki just the way it corners and it's a little more stable. I felt like the Honda was kind of stink buggy in the front,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like the front being low. I don't know if it's just how tall I am, how I transfer the weight. I don't like the. I don't know. I feel more comfortable on Suzuki.
Well, I mean, the first time you get some forks, I mean, when you see somebody bring it out, you think somebody's bringing a bow or a new rifle out in this big case, and you're just like, "What is that?" So then
Oh yeah.
you see your forks, and you're like, "Oh, that's nice. That's real nice." And so,
Well, I'll go in that suspension shop, the suspension side, and just look at all the
yeah.
coated forks, and like, hey, that's nice. Look at
Okay.
all the little parts.
The only other thing I want to make sure we take care of is any either personal sponsors or any kind of family shout out you want to give. And then after we get done, just text over, anybody who you want me to tag in the caption. And so I want to make sure whoever's, showing you some support, we're doing a really good job, returning the favor on that.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I've actually been learning as well is like reaching out to people, asking for sponsorship or support. And because I honestly don't like asking for for things from people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's just maybe me. And so being around, it's cool to see my brother because he races mountain bikes, and he's been telling me about how he reaches out to all these different companies, and he writes all his resume and blah blah blah. I don't even know what he all does. To see how he just reaches out to those people,
Mm-hmm.
and then also Freddie and Amy Noren, they help me out too, just kind of how they do it. So that whole process I get better at, but I've had the support from the tribe. They've helped me out in the past years, and so EBCI, they've given a big shout out. Obviously, my parents. It's something you don't realize whenever you're younger, but now whenever you're having to pay your bills and the house, gas, food, and just all the odds and ends, and obviously going out and doing things, you're like, man, how the heck did they even survive? Like how they pay for us to go racing, or even the time.
Yeah.
Like my dad, I feel like he doesn't sleep, and then just to see how much time he put in as a kid, or just thinking back and realizing how much time he
Mm-hmm.
put in, it's kind of pretty crazy. So obviously, my parents, my brother and sister, they go to the races with us all the time when it's a million degrees outside, sweating back of the trailer. So and yeah, we got a lot of new sponsors now, like JGR. I've been able to make a lot of partnerships and build a lot of relationships with them. We got Answer, Scott. I've been using Scott for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Liat, I've worn their neck brace for a while. Their knee braces recently, and Carne, Answer,
Mm-hmm.
Pro Taper, Yoshimura. We're just trying to work out some more sponsors, but I don't know, it's in the works.
All right. All right. Dude, good visit. Good visit. I appreciate the time. You
Yeah, thanks, man. I'm excited.
yeah.
You got to help me with the whole Instagram thing, how to grow that.
So I actually have to go see my mom and sister out in whatever, one's out in North Charlotte. She's on top of the belt loop up there.
That's
And
where I'm at.
oh yeah. And so I'll be over there. And actually, Braden stays out that way.
Yeah,
Um
he's on like east side,
yep.
Charlotte.
Yep, like when you're leaving there and like before you hit the 74 to start heading down into the state, he's over towards that way. And so, man, there's actually a lot of guys that are camped out that way.
Oh yeah,
Justin Hill was out there for a little while too, and so
yeah,
it's a good place to be out on a bike. To be honest with you,
yeah. Well, we have to link up.
I was
Go
gonna
try some
say
barbecues.
I'll just hit you up when I'm on my way over because they're gonna they're gonna be taking a break for a little while too. Everybody's taking a break, so I'll just be kind of coming in to check on family. But it'll be good to take up some time if we can.
Maybe we get some shoes. Figure out some shoe stuff. I know you're big. I know you're big on shoes. I've watched your videos.
Man, don't say that. It's a slippery slope. You're gonna have these people just roasting me in the comments about shoes. So, all right, Isaac, man. Hey, I appreciate the time, boss man.
Thanks, dude.
All
It's
right,
awesome.
okay, later.
All right, bro. Bye.